Ah, the old double nerf. At least it isn't the triple nerf with penalties on the points or rules of units. Adeptus Sororitas have had that. Other factions I care less about have also had that. And now the Orc More Dakka detachment has had it. So we need to assess, is this now a dying detachment that barely anyone will use, never to be seen again? Or is it still working, but in a different way than initially seen? More Dakka had more problems than expected on release, which led to sweeping tournament victories and many tournaments banning it. Many tournaments, but maybe not soon enough. Tournament events I am going to in the next 2 weeks have already closed list submissions and don't account for rules changes since the closing date, so I can expect unnerfed More Dakka at those events. I covered the problems with More Dakka in a previous video, but we'll go over the important changes and what they fixed or utterly destroyed. If it isn't lots and lots of nerfs, Games Workshop has a habit of solving unbalanced detachments by ignoring them and giving us more detachments. If there are more, then there are more good ones. But that is not what people want, and by people I mean the 2,000 people who responded to the polls I put up on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and fill out the polls to be considered a people. As many of those smart people commented, detachments give rules to support a thematic army. You may love the idea of gene stealers riding big tanks, but when the detachment rule has more limitations than the statute of limitations, and the stratagems have all the impact of a soft toy, it takes the fun out of your theme, and putting big tanks on the table is the extent of the fun. Playing the game should be the highest point. It is rare for Games Workshop to ever improve detachments, so if More Dakka is nerfed too much, it's likely to stay that way for the rest of the edition. The Gene Stealer cult have been waiting on the dud stratagems to be replaced after all of the cult ambush changes. The sisters really don't want Bringers of Flame to have a 6-inch range before you get the bonus strength. Please make it half range with a maximum of 12-inch range. That stops the Seraphim Hand Flamers from getting the extra strength from Deep Strike, and it keeps the Battle Sisters bolt guns banging away with strength 5 at 12-inch range. The Necron Destroyer detachment got a little bonus so that the Shooting Locust Destroyers with guns could get something, but buffs are rare. Nerfs are plentiful. I put out a few different ways that Games Workshop could fix the More Dakka detachment, and as a poll, you were meant to pick one. Changing the detachment rule was the most popular thing, so let's start with that one. The detachment rule previously was sustained hits 2 on infantry and walkers, basically doubling the number of successful shots from a unit, effectively changing the ballistic skill of orcs from 5+ to 3+. But you can spike and get lucky and roll a lot of 6s, and then you get way more than double the hits. The other bonus was that during the war turn only, infantry and walker weapons were all assault, so those units could advance and shoot and charge. The big change has been to reduce sustained hits 2 into sustained hits 1. Good, that would be enough. But then they went further and swapped the abilities around. Your Orc infantry and walkers always have assault, which allows them to advance and shoot, not advance and charge unless they're in the war. They're still able to advance and shoot and charge in the war turn. But when the war is active, that is when you get sustained hits 1 on some of your units. You have a fast-moving Orc army that can keep firing their bad ballistic skill shots, but once per game, you get a few more shots. It feels like someone said, let's make the detachment rule sustained hits 1 instead of sustained hits 2. And someone else said, let's swap it round and have sustained hits 2 only when in the war and assault all of the time. And both people were correct. Both of them got their wish, which is maybe a bit too much. What good is sustained hits 1 only once, especially when Snaz guns have sustained hits 1 already? They will get no extra benefit, and they were very thematic for the detachment. Flash Gits with big guns fire More Dakka. Now they are moving quicker and firing the same amount of Dakka. The enhancements are still the same, still good. I'm glad these were not changed. The stratagems were changed. There was one stratagem that I felt very strongly needed crushing, and Get Stuck In has taken a double smash. I wanted it to be once per game or 2 command points. It now costs 2 command points and exclude Gretchen units. This was done to stop Zodgrod Wartsnagger's Gretchen, because when you have 22 Gretchen, which can already scout 9 inches, have +1 to hit and wound, then they were getting sustained hits too, and they were -1 to be wounded, and in the War they have 12-inch movement and a 5+ invulnerable save, and +1 strength and +1 attack in combat, and can shoot and charge. This was a bit much. You can still have all that and in the first turn, but you're going to be on sustained hits 1 rather than sustained hits 2. They will get it once per game, not every single turn. And you will only get that by calling the War, not by using a stratagem. Still very nasty. So when it comes to the points changes, I think Zodgrod Wartsnagger's points may go up. And then we will get the triple nerf to this detachment. Get Stuck In Lads can still be used on the Mega Knobs, because you get all of the bonuses you get when you're in the War turn, well, as if you were in the War turn. So for 2 command points, Mega Knobs can advance and shoot and charge and have a 5+ invulnerable save and a 5+ feel no pain and sustained hits 1 in their guns and +1 strength and +1 attack in combat. That is a lot of bonuses and more worthy of being 2 command points in cost. The unexpected stratagem change was to long uncontrolled bursts. Previously, a character pointed at an enemy unit in 18 inches and all orc guns ignored cover on that one unit. Now the ability to ignore cover only applies to one orc unit, but it can be any orc unit, it doesn't have to be a walker or infantry unit. Stompers can still do a lot of fun things in this detachment as orc walkers. But as a walker, the Dread Mob detachment is more suitable for it. In that detachment, you can have sustained hits pretty much any time you want. I am hoping that the Dread Mob gets more play. It doesn't seem right when another detachment on a different theme comes along that's actually better than anything you could get in your own thematic detachment. If More Dakka is more faster, but only for infantry and walkers, that makes it different to the Speed Freaks detachment. Each detachment shouldn't overlap with other detachments. There can be occasions, like when the Gladius Task Force can advance and charge, but you also have that in the Stormlance detachment. The difference being the Gladius Task Force version is only once per game. Assault on all of your units all of the time is very useful, although the orcs are not really a shooting army. You can probably still take this as a more rounded, generalist orc force. A more traditional orc army without relying on the Gretchen exploits and tactics and seeming like a Tau gunline, or popping out of trucks and shooting like your Tau breaches. After all, orcs is still orcs, and that should be the result of this detachment. They are a more generalist orc detachment, but with sustained hits on shooting some of the time. Really it's about speed, advancing and a little bit of shooting. Or people may say, well, it's been nerfed, I hate that it's been nerfed, it gives a bad taste in my mouth, so I'm going to drop it entirely. That could also happen. We've seen that quite a bit with the Bringers of Flame detachment, which does still work, but it's much more work than it previously was. You can download the updated documents, the link is in the description, and if you wanted to click on any of the other links while you were there, I encourage you to do so. Do you think the detachment is almost never going to see the light of the tabletop, or is it still very playable? Let me know in the comments, and have a great day of 40k.